Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Fallout New Vegas. So, we spent the back half of this last episode just selling and trying to figure out, and finally figuring out, that guns can actually be modded in this game, which not a thing as far as I ever figured out for Fallout 3. So I bought some mods, none of which work with any of the weapons I have at the moment. So, yeah. That's weird. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the named guns that I've been using in particular also are just not capable of being modded, but maybe they are. That totally changes the game, but it also points out yet another issue with Bethesda games in general, but particularly I would say New Vegas, in that how could I possibly have played almost certainly 80 hours now and not been told and reminded that guns can be modded? It should have been popping up something in the top left corner every now and then saying your gun is inefficient, you can mod this gun, seek out gun mods from the salesman, anything like that. Just remind me of the game mechanics that you've created and tell me to engage with those game mechanics. Skyrim is a great example of that, where there's tons of game mechanics. All Bethesda games are like that, really. Just a massive amount of game mechanics that you can easily just overlook or never know about. So it's time to do the Caesar quest, which is connected to the main quest, and at any point that might stop the quest here. Which one am I looking for here? Restoring hope. Yeah. So there is a thought to be taken on to do Restoring Hope at some point, but first I want to free the slaves, which is a side quest for Cottonwood Cove. We know Cottonwood Cove. We ran in there and kind of ran away, and we were at a very negative relationship with Cottonwood Cove in the Legion, and we should have been on a better relationship with them. Okay. So my thought here is that the scenic overlook here might trigger some kind of achievement or challenge. Probably a challenge more than an achievement, because I don't feel like this game is new enough. So I'm gonna see if I can just take a picture. Alright, so we've taken 2 pictures. I have 15 more pieces of film and 14 more pieces of film. That's not doing anything. Good to know. I can't get rid of this camera. It doesn't have any weight, thank goodness, but I can't sell it to anybody. Okay. I still should be, because my relationship has been reset with Caesar, I should be able to just wander into this area without being attacked. That is my hope. Yep, we can see a veteran legionary there is in green. We'll even put away the guns. Now, as far as the local map, I think I may just have to talk to people to convince them to free the slaves. As a side quest. And then there's going to be deeper talk that's going to have us get on a boat and cross the Colorado. We could definitely just walk or swim.
I I see you bear the mark of Caesar. Cursor Lucullus awaits you at the docks.
So the mark of Caesar is apparently just on us.
Hold your tongue, wastrel. Always true to Kaiser.
You're still gonna free us, aren't you? Hurry up. The guards keep eyeing me like I'm a piece of meat.
See, they have different slave collars on than what I've seen otherwise. Alright, Cottonwood Cove headquarters. Let's just see. And this guy doesn't seem like he has a real problem being around the Legion. Even activating the Legion radio seems like that would be a no-no. Let me just double check. I see 4 characters as far as that quest goes. So it doesn't seem to me like freeing them. Yeah. So we come in here and we'll talk to this guy.
A profligate bearing the mark of Caesar. What is the world coming to? Cursor Lucullus is waiting for you with the barge at the docks. He will take you to the fort to speak with Caesar.
Let's ask all the questions.
Cursor Lucullus is waiting for you at the docks. He'll take you to Caesar. It is the armor of a centurion. You have the rare honor of beholding it unspattered by the blood of my inferiors.
So the armor he's wearing looks definitely like it's part power armor.
As much as the profligate's cowardice will allow. They haven't found the balls to attack us here, but we catch them out on patrols. With 2 contubernia at my command, I've killed and captured 4 times my numbers. The killing of profligates should never go unrewarded. I'll pay you a small sum per tag. Go see Decanus Severus when you have tags, in that case. He watches over our stores. Of course I am, you fool. I am a centurion. When Vulpes Inculta drove the NCR from Searchlight by clever means, Caesar himself ordered me to set up this camp and harass the profligates.
We've heard this
It's a
dialogue
modest
many
presence,
hours ago.
a single finger
Many
of the
hours
Legion
ago.
reaching across the river's narrows. But with me here, it has an iron knuckle.
I definitely feel like
Voila.
siding with Legion still would make very little sense. So talking to him gets us one barter. Notice how he just spawned and dropped.
True to Caesar.
So with them not shooting at me, I'm more free to investigate this area a little bit better. Might even be able to scan the areas. It doesn't seem like I can. These guys were really powerful
Hold your tongue,
when I fought
wastrel.
them many hours ago, but in reality, I could probably just kill everybody here.
You're the one Lucullus said would come. We'll find him waiting for you down at the docks. Very well. A Legion outpost, what's it look like? We crossed the river when the profligates fled from Searchlight. From here we stage raiding parties and process captures. I'm an officer of the Legion of the rank Decanus. When we encamped, I commanded a contubernium of 8 legionaries. So I command what's left, under the wise leadership of Centurion Aurelius, of course. As much as their cowardice will allow, the profligates avoid open battle, but on good days we find one of their patrols. Their landmines have caused us more trouble than their marksmanship, which is lacking. Are we done then?
Let's see. Show them how to disarm mines.
That would be worth knowing, especially if we can then rearm and reuse them.
So my explosives level high enough.
The light is a button that can interrupt detonation. We were too busy throwing ourselves to the ground to figure that out. To rearm the mine, we just press the button again. Simple. The profligates will
The
regret
mines
that
are
we learned this.
Way too simple mines.
What of it? Wasting my time is more like it. Wale.
So we are now slightly better personal footlockers, more liked by the Legion. I just don't feel like the key here to freeing the slaves is just opening the door.
Away. Kaiser does not like to be kept waiting. He should still be...
Okay. So either I can't move this forward, or freeing the slaves is very much just done by overrunning
Away.
Cottonwood Cove with the NCR. The only other thought would be that maybe...
Are you gonna free us or what? Sorry, I'm just glad someone is doing
like,
Away.
I could pick this gate, but with the slave collars, they would just get blown up. And so this feels like this is just going to end badly. Okay. And it feels like that would hurt my relationship with Legion, which we need the main story and the Mark of Kaiser to stay intact. Yeah. The only thought possibly would be if you could figure out what controls the slave collars and maybe sneak around at nighttime. But I guess we're just not doing any of that. So what I'm going to do is make a safety save. And we'll move on to the next quest. Yeah. The Left My Heart and Restoring Hope, both of these are quests we got very early, but maybe we shouldn't have gotten that early. The quest here is basically render under Caesar. That's what we're doing. Optionally, we also want to find House's hidden bunker buried beneath the Legion stronghold at Fortification Hill. And the question definitely is, on the map, is all of this Fortification Hill, or is the fort here just Fortification Hill? Or, yeah. Or are we going to be fast traveled to the fort and then realize that there's a lot more locations over here in the corner that we'll have to run through? It would make a lot of sense for this to end badly and lead to yet another act. Yeah. And just highlight that there is actually more story that's written. And this might very well be the good. This might be the good content of Fallout New Vegas that I've been avoiding this whole time.
Are you ready to head upriver? I am Cursor Lucullus, and my orders are to escort you to... You'll be meeting face to face with the mighty Kaiser himself, founder of the Legion, conqueror of 86 tribes. To my knowledge, this is the first time Kaiser has ever summoned one of the dissolute to see him. That it would be a woman is even more surprising.
Obviously, you wouldn't get that line if you were playing as a male.
Women are physically and intellectually inferior to men. Their role is to bear children and ensure the survival of our species. Not to say that all women are equally incapable, I trust Caesar will find a worthy use for you.
Alright, so let's just say
trip
we're
will take
ready
a few hours.
to
Take
travel.
your place on the boat.
And it's just straight up a load.
By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and relinquish all banned items.
What is considered a banned item?
Alcohol and all chems, including stims and other addictive items.
Let's go with the speech check.
I know not why Caesar would wish to speak with such a physically inferior whelp, but I will allow this one exception. You may bear Caesar's mark, but do not attempt to share any of your medicine with anyone in the fort.
Let's go ahead and just agree to disarm.
Your belongings will be returned to you when you leave.
What's up?
So effectively this is...
Wait a second. What's going on? Am I playing Virgil to your Dante? I'd like to assume that we're tiptoeing into the mouth of hell out of academic curiosity, but I'm not so open-minded that I've lost my brains.
Let's see. So we're getting some companion quests here. I'm not going to let Benny get away. I just want to hear Caesar out. I'm just listening to him, figuring out what he's up to and get out. Once we get close to Caesar, we strike. Let's go with...
Short of canceling our imminent travel plans, that's the best thing you could have said. Just be careful. If we travel at Caesar's pleasure, he may not let us out as easily as he lets us in.
So, it does feel like this is just a casino, effectively. Equivalent. They take your guns, and now we are in a walled off city section, which in fairness is way better looking than and bigger than any of the walled off city sections. It's kind of interesting that these crucified skeletons have their legs tied up when it's not really how the other characters looked like they were crucified. I doubt anybody's looking at this and thinking Caesar is a good guy. So the map is saying go up there. It would be my guess that that's the way to go. You have like a trench here. I doubt we're gonna see actual trench warfare. And them not even allowing health packs, stims, is interesting, particularly since we've heard that Caesar is having headaches.
Our way, true to Caesar.
I think these are kind of generic characters. This guy's different.
So you're the visitor I've heard some of the legionaries talking about. If you're in the mood to trade, just say the word. I haven't had the pleasure. I have crossed paths with Legate Lanius, his second in command, however. It was unpleasant. He's the best the Legion has to offer, or so the legionaries say. Brute of a man, wears a fancy metal mask in a battle. He killed one of my pack Brahmins simply because it was in his way. I knew better than to complain about it, though. Shoot. No, ma'am. I'm an independent trader from Arizona. Not at all. They're my best customers. As long as you don't try to sell them chems or alcohol, they treat you fair. Hell, I don't even need to travel with guards most of the time in Legion territory. All the bandits are dead or run off.
So there is something to be said about the safety in a totalitarian dictatorship. And so that, yeah, this trader is benefiting from it. Meanwhile, I imagine average citizens are severely not benefiting from being under Legion control.
Between having to hire protection and getting slapped with taxes, it's more profitable to stick to Arizona and New Mexico. But I do cross the river from time to time when an opportunity comes along. All right.
Do I want to play a hand of caravan? No. Show me
Have a
what you've
look.
got for sale. So, the game was crashing every time I bought more cards for caravan. And frankly, at this point, I don't care about buying cards for caravan, since I am just never going to know how to play the game. So let's ignore that. Now, theoretically, you would think he wouldn't have any chems in him, and it seems like that is true. And then I won't have a lot to sell. So what I'm gonna end up doing here is buying items, and that's gonna have me run out of mods very quickly. Well, no, it's not gonna have me run out of mods, it's gonna have me run out of caps very quickly. 14,000 caps right now, with me not being able to hold on to anything at all, and all he's selling me is weapon mods, not weapons. So he's a pretty terrible trader to go with at the moment. And it's not like you get XP for each of the cards that you would purchase, or that there is likely even a complete collection to be had. Yeah. I'll buy a Joker. Why not? Yeah, I kind of just don't want the game to crash buying all these cards.
Another satisfied customer. Be seeing you around.
So I've been sitting around with 70,000 caps for a very long time. Here we have a slave. I assume the slave is the one carrying all the goods. That slave just disappeared for the trader. Well, kind of doesn't matter one way or the other.
Our way, true to Kaiser.
Excuse me.
So they have this stumbling animation, and they're just being forced to work as pack mules. This is a nice big area, which would have you expect that you would be shooting somebody and have a gun. Weirdly though, it seems
I can't wait until they let me fight.
we're seeing some kids run around, a la Skyrim.
What?
There was a section in Borderlands 1 very much similar to this. You're going up a hill, and in that game you definitely were running and gunning and shooting people throughout the whole process. The only thing I could say that this is accomplishing is maybe giving you a brief understanding on how they live and how their society is developed, while also setting and establishing some moods. Perhaps for a big twist at the end when we get to Kaiser and realize that Kaiser is just a computer like Mr. House, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. You just mentioned the burned man. He was the number 2 under Kaiser before he failed to take over Hoover Dam.
Or I will throw you off the side.
Hi.
Having the same voice actors for the characters on the Legion feels weird.
I'm harsh on the children, but they'll be excellent legionaries. I'm quite
But
proud.
they all just sound like Morgan Freeman. Yep. And hiring Morgan Freeman or somebody that sounds like Morgan Freeman, or hiring Felicia Day to be a voice actor for one character almost certainly was a waste of money. They needed a lot more variety and several more voice actors who could do several different voices. Celebrities are known for their voice.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
They're not known for being able to sound unique or different, which is why it's almost always a better deal to hire professional video game voice actors, or at least voice actors themselves instead of celebrities. The fact that there's a grindstone here makes you assume that you could grind and repair your own weapon, bladed weapons, but I don't think that's really the case, and as we look at the animation, he is just pushing it completely through the grindstone. Maybe that's called a whetstone. You can take the plate because it's only worth 1. You can't take the steak because it's worth 5.
Have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
They have full 3D animation of the internals of the Brahmin. Yep.
Our way.
Hey, a free woman. It's been a while since I've seen a woman who wasn't a slave. I forget myself. Are you injured?
So, let's ask about the Burn Man.
A vengeful spirit. Some of the more superstitious women claim. He was a great leader of the Legion before he failed Caesar. The story says he was set on fire and thrown into the Grand Canyon, but his angry spirit rose from the ashes of his corpse, looking for revenge. Nonsense, probably, but there's no doubt that many in the Legion believe he's still alive somehow. I never finished my training. The Legion saw to that when they overran my town. I do know basic first aid, but I've had to rely on tribal remedies to treat illnesses and injuries. Healing powders and all that. I'm always running low on Xanderroot. Plenty of Brock flowers, though. Oh, I've been using 2 roots per flower. Thanks to you, I'll be able to create twice as much healing powder per day.
So that'll give us...
For sale? I'm a slave, not a merchant. I could give you some healing powder every day, but you'd have to be a friend of the Legion. What about it? Do you have some advice? Was there something else? The legate is not a man to be crossed, especially if you're a woman. That's all I'll talk about it.
See, I don't really get the storytelling here, and for the time of this game, see how our eyes are going back and forth. Yeah, video games tend, even now in 2024, to be made by male people from a male perspective, and I feel like what they tried to do here is say, oh, the Legion is so bad because it enslaves women and looks down on women, while also totally having a topless dancer and prostitution being rampant in the strip. Like, both of these types of exploitation are usually pretty bad. Sure, prostitution with the right kind of regulation and protection might work in some societies, but that's not what we're seeing in this game.
What do you want to know?
And so, yeah, if they were going to engage in that story, there also kind of needs to be an ending to that narrative, and I don't think there is going to be an ending to that narrative. So it's just going to be, oh, the men of the Legion are bad, and also the player is bad because he engaged in prostitution and probably was playing as a male character, or the player was a male person outside of the game.
A small town in New Mexico. The Legion burned it a few years back. That's how I ended up here. 3 years and counting. If I could just get across the river, I'd be free. Not that I'd try it. I've seen what happens when you get caught. We're property. If you're too young or too old, the men usually leave you alone. Usually. You ought to be careful yourself. I overheard some of the legionaries talking about trying you out. All right. I can only do that if you're a friend of the Legion. Okay.
So it definitely does feel like there is a point here. That felt a little frame ratey.
Away. There have been sightings of rangers in black armor. The best the profligates have to offer.
I assume the black armor is going to be power armor. So this probably is going to open up some more quests, and we're probably going to engage in these quests. But we also have to know that Benny is in the fort, in the bunker that is under this hill right now. He'll be there later, 10 hours, 20 hours later too. And we could just move the main story forward.
Away. True to Caesar.
There really aren't that many people here, so if I did want to just massacre the entirety of the Legion in the fort, I could do it, but that probably won't kill them permanently, and probably would just cause them to respawn next time I entered the area. This game is staying very consistent in that there's just a lot of tents instead of rooms, and the concept prevents some loading. Certainly, I imagine if you ran the numbers compared to Fallout 4, there's probably way less loading in this game, but then there is also way less. Whoops. Didn't realize you could get in the way of that. Weather monitoring station. There's way less loading, but then there is also way less interesting environmental locations. You're instead seeing repetitive buildings, repetitive tents. And this number of tents is only here through stubbornness of Bethesda to want to imply that there's a lot more people or have a specific bedroll for every single Legion person that might be in the city. There's actually way more bedrolls and tents than there are people here. This howitzer is useless without a replacement firing mechanism. Yeah. And we know that they had dogs, but we're not seeing a lot of these wolves and dogs.
The mechanical dog you have with you, where did you get it?
Let's see. Why do you want to know?
I ask because Caesar once had a similar pet, but it was lost during a battle. It took years for Caesar to conquer Lanius' tribe, and Caesar showed mercy to the survivors, allowing them to join the Legion. Had the positions been reversed, Caesar would be dead. Lanius is called the Monster of the East because he never, ever shows mercy.
So if there is a choice to put Linnaeus in charge, the Legion would get even worse.
He's a story to frighten the younger legionaries. He's dead. No man, no matter how tough, could survive a fall into the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. It would be weird if taking Rex to Kaiser finishes Rex's companion quest or starts his companion quest.
We breed them mostly, but sometimes we get some good ones from Denver. That whole city is overrun with them. Been doing it since I was a boy. The mongrels know to listen up when I start talking to them. Okay.
Let's go with nice dog. This is probably going to be an insult.
Lupa. Yes, she's the mother of a lot of our best dogs. She's getting old, but she's still a tough old bitch. Aren't you, girl? Yeah.
I could use Lupa's brain to fix my cyber dog. I don't even need to do that.
Cyber dog? Like the ones I've seen up in Denver? I know what you're talking about. And it would make Lupa immortal, in a way. Not too common, but you still see him around. You give Lupa a worthy death in the arena, and her brain is yours. Don't let your guard down just because she's old, though. Oh, and standard arena rules still apply. You don't get to wear armor, and you get only a machete for a weapon.
Okay.
All right. You've been a good dog, Lupa. Die well, girl.
I guess we can just do this quest. So I'm just straight up in the underwear. So even the dog they have affinity for, yep. So can I use Lupa's brain on the dog? No, I think I'd have to take the brain all the way back to the doctor, way in the other corner of the map in Jacobstown, to maybe use this. And they are giving me back every single item, which means it's just gonna sit there forever.
What do you want from me, woman? I'm in charge of the arena. Such as? Light armor and machetes only. The challenger, the one who asks to enter the arena, may be pitted against one or more opponents. All matches continue until one side is dead. No exceptions. I set up the fights, keep track of prisoners available, and make sure the arena's cleaned up. Most of the time, it's some young legionary trying to make a name for himself, hoping to get noticed by Caesar or the Praetorians. We pit slaves or prisoners against each other once in a while, but it's not much of a show. They're usually too reluctant to kill each other. Like what? Women are beneath notice, as Caesar has taught us. I'm only allowing you to speak to me because you are Caesar's guest. I may yet, if Caesar commands it. A great warrior. When he was but a recruit, I watched him kill 10
I guess
men in the
at least we
arena with his
can
bare hands. He doesn't
talk
feel pain,
through everything
and he never, ever
as
shows
we
mercy.
receive
If all
all the
legionaries
items
were like him,
extremely
the Legion would be
slowly.
invincible.
And there's just like no reason to take everything away.
Ask someone else, woman. Go.
So it seems like I can fight in the arena if I wanted to. I don't see a real reason to do it though. Unless I'm just trying to get more of a better relationship with the Legion. I honestly don't know how much I can really stomach being with the Legion though. They are clearly written to be.
What? Later.
Detestable, I guess would be the right word to use.
You must enter Kaisar's tent alone. Anyone else must remain outside.
Now, I don't imagine that I'm going to really not get all my items if I was to, say, pull up the menu. I imagine I may have all of my items already, and that the animation is just slower than everything else. Yep. And the order in which things are going does seem to be somewhat random. I imagine each item has a unique item ID, and it is probably just a chronological serial number of things that were created. And that's probably how things are being added. Meanwhile, do we have anything else we can do? Yeah. Just get rid of our ads while we're here. I don't believe I'm gonna do much to ever change my special stats. It definitely feels like, in retrospect, the luck being at 10 to start with, or knowing the way Fallout games work, luck being at 9 to start with, and intelligence being at 9 to start with, is your move. And then barter and speech checks early game are very helpful, later not so much. And honestly, it definitely feels like there aren't enough barter and speech checks in Bethesda games for the concept. Agility, guns and sneak abilities really don't need that high. Perception gives you bonuses to lockpicking, so that being high would be nice. And if you just had a mod that got rid of being over encumbered, you really wouldn't need strength to carry items. We are at level 32, and it definitely feels like we're going to get everything to 100, with perhaps the exception of unarmed and melee weapons. But I think that's going to be really nice. Unfortunately, the perks, though, are not as interesting as I would like it to be. I suspect the quest here, Beware the Wrath of Caesar, or Kaisar, I suspect you're going to get some other quests like this that says, if you work with the NCR any further, you're going to be the odd man out. And so at the very end of the game, I imagine you'll have 6 quests, each of which says you have to pick a side, what between Yes Man, NCR, and maybe House. And whoever you pick is going to lead you to being
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
not well received and hated by the rest of the group.
You must enter Kaisar's tent alone. Anyone? You must enter Kaisar's tent.
Here's a great example of the game not telling you what to do. You have to actually talk to these characters.
I'm really very... It could be better, but really? Okay, just don't be gone long. I sunburn easily.
So again, like the casino and Lucky 38 and House, we come in here.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
And this straight up looks exactly like some of the tent sections in Skyrim. You have somebody sitting on a throne, a Viking king, and then you have basically a small area with nothing amazing happening here. Benny, surprisingly, has already been captured and is there. And then there's just some inventory items. And I would assume one of these guys is more than just... Yeah, here we have Lucas. And here's Kaisar. Not a robot. Well, at least not looking like a robot. But if you told me he actually was a synth, I wouldn't be surprised.
Kaisar awaits. You can speak with me later.
And this should just really have been more of a cutscene where you walk, you see Benny's there, you go, Benny, wow. Or Benny says something to you, and then you walk up and talk to Kaisar.
You're the courier who caused so much trouble for my legion, and yet you dare come before me. All the bribes I sent to the Omertas ended up buying me nothing. The great Khans aren't exactly clamoring to fight for my legion now. So tell me this, because I really want to know. I am feared, with good reason. But you, of all people, dare to come here and stand before me, the mighty Kaisar. What were you thinking?
So we could just scream death to tyrant in English and start combat. I had to see the mighty Kaisar with my own eyes. You're in possession that interests me. You guaranteed my safety.
We'll deal with Benny when the time comes. In the meantime, you do know why I wanted to meet you, right? A man nearly kills you, so you track him across the breadth of the Mojave. You arrive on the strip and waltz into the Lucky 38 like someone left you a key under the doormat. You visit the tops, and next thing you know, the head of the chairman is fleeing the strip like a whimpering little pup. When you set your mind to something, you get results. I like that. The question is, are you ready to get started?
See, how do you know so much about me? What were you looking to start?
The time is fast approaching when my legion will assault the Great Dam and invade the West. Before that happens, I want Mr. House knocked out of the game. A quick 1-2 punch, with you doing the punching.
Let's ask some basic questions here.
I have eyes and ears everywhere. It behooves me not to invade the West blind and deaf. It hasn't been hard to track your progress. It's not as though you've been keeping a low profile.
So, we probably do want to take out House, and apologies again, the game is far too dark. And I guess technically this probably is an interior location, even though it is missing a roof.
Down the hill, at the west edge of camp, is an old building. It was here when the fort was taken in 2277. Inside the building is a hatch. And inside that hatch are 2 steel doors that bear the sigil of the Lucky 38 casino. Now that same sigil is on the platinum chip Benny was carrying when we captured him. Isn't that interesting? Even more interesting, there's a slot about the same size as the chip on the console that opens the hatch. So you know what I think? I think the platinum chip opens those doors. Doors that can't be pried open, or drilled open, or blasted open. Because all that, I tried.
Funny to have 2 lines of dialogue that are almost the same. Like what's on the other side of the doors and once I'm inside.
I want you to destroy whatever you find in there. And then I want you to come back here and tell me about it. So go to the building and take this fucking platinum chip with you. My legionaries will meet you there, with your weapons and equipment. Talk to Benny on your way out. He knows I'm going to let you decide how he dies. Maybe you want to remind him.
Always true to Kaiser. Always true to
So,
Kaiser.
it does seem to me
True to Kaiser.
like we are allowed to see, mark the auto dock. So now we know what the Vault 22 auto dock is probably all about.
Always. It is a great honor for anyone outside the Legion to get an audience with Kaiser. He's the best warrior in the Legion. A full legionary by the time he was 12. He's never lost a battle. Had the Legate been in command during the Battle of Hoover Dam, the Legion would have won. I have no doubt about that. No, Legate Lanius is Caesar's second. The Legate replaced the Burned Man after the Legion's defeat at the Dam several years ago. The Burned Man was Caesar's advisor and general when the Legion was originally formed. The Burned Man led us to a disastrous defeat at the Dam. On Caesar's orders, the Burned Man was covered in pitch by the Praetorian Guard, lit on fire, and cast into the Grand Canyon. Caesar has forbidden us from ever speaking his true name again. And so we simply refer to him as the Burned Man.
So yeah, it definitely seems like you're being treated really nice by Kaiser, but there's really no room for siding with him. Not if you want to play as a good character.
It's a tradition in the Praetorians to specialize in unarmed combat, because weapons can break or jam when needed most. However, our unarmed techniques favor offense over defense. We can charge the enemy and flatten him with our first strike before he can react.
My unarmed technique would fail here. I don't have 15 skill points to try that.
I've watched you move, and I can tell you... We recently obtained an artillery weapon, but we don't have the part or the skill to fix it. The trader Dale Barton salvaged it from a military base in Arizona. Yuma, I believe. The best marksmen of the NCR are usually at the rear of any battle. The gun will allow us to strike at them. The tribe calling themselves the Boomers is obsessed with such weapons, I've been told. You could probably find a spare firing mechanism there. I'll answer
Let's
if I
exhaust
can.
all the dialogue.
When I was a boy, the Legion conquered my tribe. I was
The
chosen
fact
for
that he
training
did
as a Legion.
unify 86
I
tribes
fought in many
does
battles
say
for the Legion.
something.
Eventually, Caesar chose me to lead his
You
Praetorian
probably
Guard.
wouldn't do
It
that
was a
with
great
just
honor.
politics.
Girls and women were enslaved, and many of the men and boys were also chosen to become legionaries. The rest were killed. We were savages. The Legion raised us up, made us better than what we were. What did you want to talk about? Very well. Wale.
I suspect you'll be a valuable asset to the Legion. To call Lanius ferocious.
More
would be an
characters to talk to. Far too many
In battle,
characters.
He seizes the enemy in his jaws and will not let go. He thinks nothing of suffering losses. Be glad you will not have to. There's a gambler, Martina Grosbeck, who has a knack for learning other people's secrets and passing that information along for a price. The Omertas, who run Gomorrah, have become suspicious of Martina's frequent visits to their casino. Soon they'll pay her a visit of their own. Good. Martina frequents the Vault 21 gift shop on the Strip. Hurry along, and she still may be in one piece by the time you get there.
So there's another side quest.
The dog is part machine, but its brain is flesh.
So yeah, interesting twist happening here. Here's a great example of where modern games need to have different characters. You can't just have a guard with the exact same animations looping at the same time. You can't have glitchy physics where the characters are bouncing up and down. Exact same faces, exact same names. Of course, there have been some games that have randomly generated custom names for unimportant NPC characters, and that can really cause confusion, so I wouldn't suggest that. Mostly what I would suggest is that you would either have guards dressed in a specific way that visually you could see even from a far distance they're unimportant, and you just wouldn't be able to talk to them. It is more of that stubbornness, certainly, that you have to be able to talk to every single character in the area. And it definitely is just wasting the player's time. There could have been a case here where there was a bookcase with lots of books to find in Kaisar's location. And Benny already betrayed us once, so I don't see any way we could possibly side with him.
Go ahead and laugh, baby. I ain't blind to the humor in this situation.
You have no one to blame but yourself. Let's see. Laugh it later, we have business to discuss.
That we do, baby. That we do. Down to brass tacks. How'd your meet and greet with Baldy go?
Let's see.
Try not to smile so wide, baby. You might break your mouth.
I wonder if he would say baby if he was talking to a male character. Haven't made up my mind.
I know, so many options. How do you choose just one? Sure. Baldy wants you to go down there in the bunker and destroy whatever Mr. House stashed there. Oh, you don't want to do that, baby. Whatever's down in that bunker is the key to the city called Vegas. So here's what you do. You go down there and you use the chip to do whatever Mr. House would have wanted you to do. And when you get back to the Strip, you find Yes Man. I made it so that cat can't help but be helpful. Dig? So you keep saying. Yeah. To die in my sleep at a ripe old age after a marathon session of hate.
I don't think I want to go through all of these dialogues.
Look, I ain't a harbor for illusions. I ain't expecting to get out of this shindig alive. That's why I'm trying to hand you my scheme, baby. It's called having a legacy. Yeah, real popular around here. It's a crowd pleaser. I'm the most interesting person I know. Now, in the way back, we called ourselves the Boot Riders. Silly name, but that's how we rode the Mojave, dig? On our feet. We were nomadic badasses not to be trifled with. A gang of ruffians, though, with a certain panache. When House gave us the tops to renovate, his robots dropped off boxes full of suits and ties and wingtip shoes. Told us we were the chairman now. That caused an uproar, but I said the name sticks. Chow to the old ways, baby. Time to swing in style. If the shoes fit, you wear them. 7 years. Took over 3 days after Mr. House introduced himself. Our chief at the time, mountain of a guy named Bingo, wanted to stay nomadic. I disagreed, so he challenged me to the knife. He looked so surprised when I stuck that knife in his neck. Thought he was so tough, but he was so slow. That's how I made chief. It's how things were back then. We were east of Vegas when the first Securitron we ever saw rolled up on us. We junked it in a minute flat. The next day, 20 roll up. So we listened. Said we'd been selected. Vegas needed us to defend it. In exchange, we'd get cushy digs, full stomachs, medical treatment. Everything a nomad never gets, in other words. Most of the tribe thought we should say no. I thought it was the best idea ever.
So basically, Mr. House restored the entire strip to act simply as a barrier and a protection to himself for some bigger scheme. And he brought in a bunch of tribal groups to run casinos.
I prefer the term relocated. It took every stealth boy I had to cross the river at Cottonwood Cove. That was a close shave riding a boat full of Legion boys. Once I was across, I changed into a uniform. I swiped off a dead legionary outside Nelson. Tried to sneak into the bunker, but that didn't work out. They found the chip. I wasn't gonna tell them what it was used for, but let's just say they were persuasive. Go on. Which greedy overlord do you want to start with?
A lot of this feels like data and information you should have gotten a lot earlier in the game.
Mr. House hides Vegas under his skirt when the bombs fall 1,000 years ago, so it belongs to him? Forever? You buy that? Baby, every boss has a line to explain why he's special. Why everyone's gotta do what he says. You're just figuring that out? Vegas gotta swing, baby. Gotta have pizzazz, respect where due, but that old man is square to the core. But more like two, after what you did to the Omertas. Set it up right and the families will roll with your caper. You might have to do some convincing.
What if my choice was none of the above?
Now you're talking. That is the ring-a-ding move, baby. First base is whatever Mr. House would have you do. Follow orders, rig the game to his specifications. Then, when he ain't looking, you knock him out of the running and find a way to take control of those Securitrons of his. Go see Yes Man. I made it so that cat can't help but be helpful.
So, that does seem like that is the right ending to select. And I know this game has at least 2 different endings.
Ain't we covered this? The only thing not bad about them is they ain't Legion. The NCR is the biggest gang of thieves in the Mojave. Only difference is they pass laws to make their crimes legal before they commit them. Nah, just spruce it up with a crucifixion here and there. Come closer so I can step on you. The Legion is twisted, baby. Original losers worshipping the king of creeps like he's some kind of god. They're worse than roaches. My advice? Put on your stomping shoes. The chairmen are true blue. The Omertas are degenerates. Never trust them. Or the white gloves. Just something creepy about them. Set it up right and the families will roll with your caper. You might have to do some convincing.
It also feels like I could just go kill.
Ta-ta.
Seems like there's just still more dialogue that you can have, but I've had enough of that. It does seem like I could just go kill the White Glove Society more.
What a load of Brahmin shit! Can you believe that guy?
Let's see. We have an intelligence 8 here, so let's go with that.
A fair point. But from the perspective of someone west of the Colorado, the man is clearly out of his mind. Maybe he didn't intend for things to wind up this way. But that doesn't mean he needs to perpetuate this bizarre anachronistic myth. And it doesn't mean that we should sit by and nod our heads at every absurd faux Roman casus belli he can dream up. He's a tyrant, the bad kind, and there's no way we're letting him take Hoover Dam.
So our companion has an opinion, which arguably our companion should have. They should always have opinions. Still don't have our items back. And see, this feels weird because, like, I could go fast travel to do this, and I could fast travel to do more quests. But the whole order just seems out of order. Like, so guess we'll make a safety save. We've made like 81 saves already. We'll go and see what we're gonna do here. I'd like to know what this is, whether this controls Helios 1 or something like that.
None may enter without Caesar's permission.
Caesar has permitted your weapons to be returned to you while you
Half
serve
of them say Caesar.
Caesar has put a lot of trust in you. Be worth it.
Okay. So we now have our gun. And let's just double check where our quests are saying here. House Always Wins says deliver the platinum chip to Mr. House. Bring the platinum chip to Mr. House. This is a side mission that a lot of these feel like they would just end. Change in management, kill or disable Mr. House. That's a thought. The House Always Wins 2 seems to be something we should do before the House Always Wins 1. It does feel like that's probably the quest we want to do. Lowest quest on the list. Optional: find House's hidden bunker buried beneath the Legion's stronghold at Fortification Hill. Oh, and I guess I missed something. I missed my people. Still definitely feels like House has control of every computer in the entire New Vegas area. Also, why would my companion know what was even discussed if he wasn't actually in? Yeah, if he actually wasn't in the room when I was talking to Kaiser. Okay. So, I guess you are just going to be putting the platinum chip here. Or here. And supposedly this is supposed to bear the symbol of the Lucky 38, but
Lupa met an honorable death in the arena.
There is no symbol I see at all for Lucky 38. Not even a poster. These are all posters that just were in Fallout 3. Alright, well, we enter that into the slot. Now we can enter the secret bunker. And that doesn't seem like that has unlocked anything. So again, it doesn't make any sense. If that hatch has never been opened before, then how would they have seen the Lucky 38? It doesn't make any sense at all. It would have made way more sense to just have this faded texture be on this hatch, or have this hatch be open. And while this hatch is used in a couple times in Fallout 3, it's not used much in this game, and it wasn't used enough in Fallout 3. Definitely feels like if you combined the encounters, oh, it's radioactive. If you combine the encounters that were really good at Fallout 3 versus the encounters that are really good in New Vegas, you'd have a better game overall.
I see you reached your destination safely. Shall we get to work?
Let's see. Let's ask some basic questions.
It's a facility I built many years before you were born. You might think of it as a barracks. You'll understand soon enough. The Platinum chip is a data storage device. I need you to manually upload the data from the chip to the facility's primary computer. There's a terminal at the other end of this facility. There's a complication. While I can broadcast to this screen, I can't control any of the facility's systems. That means I can't deactivate its security bots, most of which appear to be active according to the status board I'm looking at. My army will do what an army does best: defend territory from invaders and maintain order.
So he's going to use the Securitrons to take out the NCR and the Legion. At the end of the day, that is a dictatorship too. So you have the NCR, which at least pretends to be a democracy, and so is at least on the first steps of actually being a democracy, versus Kaiser, which is definitely more of a kingdom with one leader and really no good way to eliminate that one leader. And then you have a bunch of other tribal gangs that would just fight amongst each other, and then House would just be the computer dictator.
The same equipment failure that prevents me from remotely operating this facility seems to have activated its security robots and turrets. There's a security room
wouldn't
near
be
the base
surprised
of the
if
stairs. Perhaps you
this
can
computer
deactivate them
program
yourself.
House is directly fighting against the desires of the human House that was originally there, and that this is just a rogue AI.
I like to think you have enough sense to do the right thing. The rewards for doing so are immense, as are the punishments for not doing so.
Still questioning whether there are more cameras that are supposed to be shown. Definitely does feel to me like House is probably totally in control. Turrets are active, Protectrons are active, sentry bots are on standby. So without my companions, I'm going to take on the Securitrons. And at a certain level, I guess, siding with any of the humans probably gives you an excuse to fight more robots. Siding with House, then I imagine would have you fighting against more humans, which we don't need to really fight against more humans. They're not really programmed that well. I had hoped more of these Securitrons had been around just randomly. Alright, so we have some more word guessing, not too different from Wordle. The Spices would not, I think, have 3 in common, so that's probably a bad one to do. Darkness, I don't think has 3 in common either. Merchant, I don't think has 3 in common either. Corroded, let's go with demanded. Right, so it is not the probably the ED. So, guess you go with corroded? Man, I messed that up. And see, if you were taking radiation while you were playing this, then the slow load screen here would get even more annoying. Archives only has one. Correct. Dungeons. Cancel security alert. Turrets reverting to standby mode. Now, ideally, containing is really close. Only 3 are different. So it doesn't have to be conspiring. No. So containing has 1 more letter than conspiring did. Let's be careful here. Like, ideally, I'd want to be able to still shoot all these robots and get XP for shooting them. But, so we know it doesn't even end ING or ION or IV. So it's not ION, it's not ING, or it's not IVE. So it probably has to be preserved. But it could be television. Okay. Does television have more than one thing in common? Yes, so it can't be television. Can't be that. Can't be that. Does productive have more than one thing in common? No. So the terminal is locked and I don't have the perk. So at least we can show off what happens there. That's fine. And we really don't have enough guns to be using a plasma rifle type weapon. But I don't think that's going to matter. Turning off the turrets alone is probably good enough. And looks like there's only about 8 Securitrons. This door is activated somewhere else. So sentry bots are all down. So you know what these sentry bots would do. Let's see. That didn't work. Okay. We picked up a plasma rifle. And I guess these guys just won't be aggroed. So hidden, perhaps? Can we be hidden and not seen? I don't think so. So get absolutely as close as possible. Head shots. Seems to be too close. Only 95% chance. Combat inhibitor. We don't have any stems on equipped. I think they took my stems away. So when they took it away, it's no longer a hotkey. I wish the game was better at remembering that stuff. So
do not interfere with security operations.
But yeah, my science alone is not enough to interact with the combat inhibitor or anything like that. So headshots and sneak attacks still are the best move. And we'll just have to figure out if that was worth using this gun for, or if I was simply being silly. Okay, Protectron. One hit kill. So the Securitrons were just way stronger enemies, or invulnerable and armored. We can see this is kind of like that Star Wars prequel movie. That there's just a Securitron army here. Radiation level increasing. There should be some bit of the turret left that I could collect something from, but I guess not. I have 16 more shots with this gun. They are already disabled.
Your cooperation is requested. Open and I
There's really not much of anything here, is it? It would be nice if the game did allow you to fix like leaks. Alright, we are now completely out of anything. We'll try some plasma grenades, and the thought here definitely is to experiment with some different items. So we could just blow up that if we weren't smart enough to do anything else.
Violence will not be tolerated.
Power regulator. It really just places the grenade at the feet of the enemy. So I guess there was a small chance that I would have blown this up. Like, if I had C4 chargers, I could use them, I think, to place. Alright. I would like the Fallout games to make it feel more like a moral choice to destroy robots. There is just, I guess, a large amount of... Is this guy gonna talk to me? Nope. There's a lot of monsters. Interesting, it moved from the explosion. A lot of rad roaches, a lot of mutated monsters that there's just like no real decision. You are just gonna kill them, which is fine for video games if you want to do that, but for role-playing games it would feel more intelligence if there was more of a choice that you could potentially play as a robot-loving character. I assume Mr. House is also going to take over these turrets if I'm not careful. This door is permanently jammed, cutting off access to the other sections of the vault. Which vault number is this, by the way? They call it a vault, but I'm not sure it actually is labeled as a vault. So, you need to make a choice. Upgrade the security armor to use it later for your own purposes, or destroy the Securotron army by overloading the bunker's reactor. I imagine you're not going to get thousands of XP if you destroy the army, so let's just upgrade it later, using it for our purpose. So the Securitrons have been upgraded, and we have leveled up. And we were throwing everything into lockpicking first, and then probably only makes so much sense to maybe get science up to 90. We can't get it to 95, which means medicine could go to 90, 89, explosives, survival to 60, unarmed. Yeah. Let's do that. And then no perks this time. Okay. So we can return to Caesar, we could return to Yes Man. We can do these side quests. We've made a decision and I guess we pretty much just have to stick to it now. There's no way to fix the radiation in this facility. So I guess maybe the implication is that the radiation was the thing that cut off Mr. House. This is a very long area designed to highlight, I imagine that they wanted to do more shooting gallery sections like this. You really could have had quite a few sections like that. And with my hacking, I think I could have probably just disabled everything. But I think we played really well, with the one exception of being locked out of this terminal. As far as getting as much XP as possible. We should go back to Kaiser, I guess. Let's see what Mr. House says.
Your work here is done. Return. You have a very bright future ahead of you.
Yep. There might have been a case where the sentry bots could have been hacked to fight on your side. Not that I think you really needed to do that.
You've carried out Caesar's will, but I must... You're free to leave.
Just give him the guns. We could hold out. This again is just a casino with a different appearance to it. This seems very weird that now is the time that you're being encouraged to still buddy up to Caesar.
Some of the slaves have been spreading.
Let's turn in the quest, I guess.
I felt the ground shake a while ago. I'll take that as a sign you've got the job done. There are rewards for doing as I command. Today, your reward is vengeance. You get to decide how Benny dies. Go to Benny. Let him know what you've decided. My Praetorians will perform the execution, unless you want to perform it yourself.
Can I set him free?
You need to work on your bloodthirst. We won't speak again until Benny is dead. Walk away if you want, but if you do, he's going up on a cross. You're still making a choice.
I wish I had a cattle prod with me, and then I could stun him and make him look dead. But I guess I don't have a choice here.
So, baby, what did you find down there? So, all this time, the old man had an entire army on layaway? Clever player. Just imagine the look on Baldy's face when those Securitrons come pouring out on Judgment Day. I'd pay to have that bronzed. So all you gotta do is talk to Yes Man. Figure out how to set things in motion. Make Vegas a town I would have been proud of, baby. Let it swing. I see. And how's that gonna happen?
Let's see. If I untie him, he's probably going to get killed. We could fight in the arena fair and square. We could crucify him. I mean, let's see what happens if we untie him.
What am I gonna say? No thanks? If you can get these ropes off, I'll do my best to take down my share of the guards.
Actually, I think I'll just kill him now.
You think? Murdering me like this, down on my knees? What's holding you up?
Yeah, let's fight him in the arena.
Machetes at 20 paces, hey? I accept your challenge.
I guess the arena is the
You're a class act, baby.
best way to kill him.
Make it easy for you.
Now, again, I'll be in my underwear because I don't have
They hardly even know how to fight.
any equip. And my companion is just shooting them from the distance. We'll take his guns and the equipment.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
So we'll have to awkwardly walk around again, talking to Kaisar. So I'm gonna just hope I get all my items if I just skip here. Nope, it's still in process, still doing the animation.
I'm sure you found Benny's demise pleasing. The destruction of an enemy? There are few things more satisfying. Let's press on, shall we? As I was telling you before, I want Mr. House out of the picture. You have an interest in his death too. If he knows that you destroyed his gadgets beneath the fort, he will strike back. You know where to find him. How he dies, I leave up to you.
Let's ask some basic questions.
It's called an autodoc. As the name suggests, it's an automated physician, more or less. He can treat broken bones, cuts, punctures, scrapes. Sometimes I bestow its use upon someone I favor. Makes for a powerful gift in a culture that forbids painkillers and is largely ignorant of medical science. What did you want to know? My Praetorians embody the martial ideals of my legion. Each one of them has done enough conquering and killing to deserve the rank of Centurion. Instead, I invited them to join my guard. So the invitee chooses whichever current guard he thinks is weakest and challenges him. The fight is to the death. It keeps them from getting complacent. Lucius has been the head of my guard for 5 years now. He was a subordinate guard for 8 before that. No invitee has dared to challenge him yet. Maybe it's an issue of respect. He is getting on in years. What else did you want to know? Wulpes is the best of my frumentari. A remarkable individual from an unremarkable tribe south of the Utah. He was brought into the Legion as a boy. Survived training, fought well enough as a legionary to be promoted to the rank of decanus.
So
Then in battle against an
the
unimportant
canon effectively
tribe,
is
and led his contubernium through a hole
explaining
in the defenses to
away
capture its chieftain.
the
Well,
entire
its Kenturian
middle
wanted to
part
crucify
of
his
the United
disobedience.
States.
So I made
So
him a frumentari.
it would be fairly difficult to make another Fallout New Vegas set just a couple states to the east. Like, and then I don't know where you really would want to set it. You could set it in some place like Louisiana or Mississippi and have a very different feel, but I don't know if there would be enough buildings and landmarks to reference then. Like,
Whatever I require. Infiltration, assassination, dramatic atrocities to break the spirit of the enemy, etc. They're mentally flexible. They operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, imitating the enemy's customs without becoming sullied. In all these things, Wolpus is a master.
let's see.
Linnaeus is the greatest of my battlefield commanders. Some might call him a great man.
Just exhaust all this
I'm not
dialogue.
sure he qualifies. Once, he was the greatest warrior of the Hydebarks, a tribe of the Arizona. Maniacal in battle.
Way too much backstory, way
Sometimes he'd
too much
ambush
dialogue.
Legion patrols by himself. When after several months we found and surrounded the Hydebarks camp, their chieftain raised a banner of surrender. The warrior, who was not yet Linnaeus, went insane with rage. He struck down his chieftain and attacked his own tribe. He killed 15 before they brought him down. He didn't die, obviously. I had him tended to. He was maimed, most of his face torn off. It was days before he regained consciousness. When he did, I went to his bedside and showed him the helmet I'd had forged to cover his face. I said he could have it if he'd fight for me. He accepted, on condition that he be allowed to kill the surviving males of his tribe. I said, make it the adult males, and you have a deal. Linnaeus is savage. Savagely loyal, too, but only to me. He has no love for my legion. But this has its uses. He has no attachment to his men, no compunction about battlefield losses. All he cares about is destroying the enemy. When another legatus or a centurion fails to achieve results, I send Linnaeus to make things right. His first step is to beat the failed commander to death in front of his assembled troops. Then he orders the ritual of decimatio. It means decimation, but in ancient Rome the word had a very specific meaning, a punishment for cowardice. The legionaries are lined up in ranks. Every 10th man steps forward and is beaten to death by his brothers. It instills a certain robust obedience. Yes, this time my legionaries will be more frightened of the commander behind them than the enemy before them. There will be no failure this time, no retreat, no years of gathering slaves and resources for another assault. With Linnaeus to drive the legion forward, the dam will be taken. It will be our bridgehead across the Colorado. It's not going to happen again, that's all I have to say about it. And I've heard it's a bad idea to tempt the wrath of Caesar. Change the subject. What else did you want to know? I'll
Still
hand
a lot
it
of
to that piece
dialogue
of
here.
shit. He was determined. He used some kind of old world stealth device to get across the river in a Legion boat. Seems the device ran out of juice once he got here, but he was dressed like a legionary. He was caught just outside the weather station. See, thing is, he didn't change his hairstyle. To go to all that effort and fail because you're too vain to mush your hair. He was brought before me along with the platinum chip. That's how I knew he wasn't some kind of profligate infiltrator. Benny tried to sell me a story. But Lucius has a way of coaxing the truth out of captives. Everything just comes spilling out. What else did you want to know?
Still way too much dialogue here. This is just way too much.
Do you want my opinion as a former citizen or future conqueror? Actually, my opinion's the same either way. As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years? And that her father, Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does
connected
that sound like
to
a
the
democracy to you?
TV
Or a hereditary
show, the Amazon Prime show. How do I know if President Tandy was voted in each time?
Because the council didn't dare oppose her. She was too popular. She had the people's love. So things ran smoothly, more or less. And as soon as she was gone, as soon as there really could be democracy, what happened then? Ever since losing its queen, the NCR has been weaker, more diffuse. Democracy has been its weakness, not its strength. Greed runs rampant. The government is corrupt, accepting bribes from Brahmin barons and landowners to the detriment of citizens. The NCR is a loose conglomerate of individuals looking out for themselves. It's lost virtue. No one cares about the collective, the greater good. It's not built to last. I'm just hastening the inevitable. Of course, the most powerful my legion has faced. Also the first to which I am ideologically opposed. Until now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted, enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them. My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire. Just as my namesake campaigned in Gaul before he crossed the Rubicon, so have I campaigned and will cross the Colorado. What else did you want to know? I know he's a coward, hiding behind an army of robots ensconced in that tower of his like a wizard in one of those Grognak comic books.
Which
Some say
we
he's
don't
a man,
see any of
others
those
a
comics in
machine.
this
I
game.
don't care. He's in the way. What else did you want to know? I've analyzed the region's tribes to determine how they might be useful. I may tell you more at a later time, if it suits me. What else did you want to know?
Man. So much information. There's got to be a better way to present all of this.
Ironically, I was born a profligate myself, a citizen of the NCR. My family lived not far from the Great Boneyard. After raiders killed my father, my mother sought the followers' protection. I was 2 years old. She found work at their library, cooking and cleaning. I learned how to read, and soon I was taking courses, free of charge. Oh yes, raised in that tradition. And the teaching stuck. I was taught it was my responsibility to bring the torch of knowledge to the wastes. I may have taken the torch part more literally than they intended. When I was 20, the followers sent me east to Grand Canyon. It was my first expedition. Just me and a physician named Calhoun. As an anthropologist and linguist, my assignment was to learn the dialects of the Grand Canyon tribes. What a fucking waste of time. If you think it's worthwhile to make smart people learn how to talk like backward savages, you're a follower of the apocalypse, or an idiot. Anyway, we met up with a Mormon missionary who already knew a bunch of dialects, Joshua Graham. He was supposed to teach me, but before that went too far, the Blackfoot tribe captured us to hold us for ransom. They were a backward bunch, but the real problem was they didn't know how to fight. The Blackfoot were at war with 7 other tribes, each just as pissant as they were. But outnumbered like that, they weren't going to last long. It's one thing to be taken hostage, another to be lashed to a sinking ship. So over Calhoun's objections, I decided to take certain steps. I taught them how to use the guns
this
they
is
already
way
had,
too much talking, way too much story.
how to breathe when
Not
pulling
enough
a trigger,
shooting.
how to reload ammunition. They looked at me like I was some kind of a sorcerer. So I taught them how to make explosives and started drilling them on small unit tactics. If there's anything I learned as a follower of the apocalypse, it's that there's a lot of good information in old books. Divide et impera, divide and conquer. I led the Blackfoot against the Ridgers, their weakest enemy. When they refused to surrender, I ordered every man, woman, and child killed. When next we surrounded the Kaibabs, and they likewise refused, I took one of their envoys to the Ridgers' village and showed him the corpse piles. This was new for the tribes, you see. They played at war, raiding each other, a little rape and pillage here, a little ransoming there. I showed them total warfare. Like I said, there's a lot you can learn from old books.
There's a game called Total Warfare, but I'm not sure it was out when this game would have been made.
Kaibabs joined me, and the Fredonians after that. All the pissant tribes with names that should be forgotten. I knew from the start I'd need to eradicate this plague of tribal identities, replacing them with a monolithic culture, a uniform identity. So that's what I did once my confederation of tribes was large enough. I crowned myself Caesar and created a single great tribe, my legion. I sent Calhoun, the follower captured with me, back west with a message that I should not be interfered with. Joshua Graham, the Mormon interpreter, stayed with me and served as my first legatus. That's right. Decades of warfare, absorbing lesser tribes, gathering power, forging the dross into a vast, razor-sharp scythe. My legion's expansion has never ceased. Much of the Utah and Colorado and all of Arizona and New Mexico are mine. We have cities of our own, but nothing compared to Vegas. Finally, my legion will have its Rome.
They talk about some of the other cities.
What else did you want to know?
And I guess the hint is that that would be maybe DLC.
I used Imperial Rome as the model for my legion precisely because it was so foreign, so alien. I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America, the infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself.
He's making
in Rome, I found
a little
template
bit
for
of sense.
A society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world, a society that could and would survive, a society that could prevent mankind from fracturing and destroying itself in this new world by establishing a new Pax Romana.
So that last bit of thinking actually makes a little bit of sense in a post-apocalyptic world. So had you run into Caesar at the very beginning of the game, had he just talked to you, at least you'd have a bit of a reason to maybe want to side with him for early game. The other problem, though, is that they keep saying that the NCR is corrupt and evil, but we are not really seeing enough actions to justify that. We saw one NCR trooper go crazy and shoot a gambling cheat guy. And that's pretty much the most evil thing we've seen the NCR do so far. Now, I do believe at some point the NCR may just decide to blow up the Hoover Dam and show that they're evil, but that's going to be very, very late game.
It means a nationalist, imperialist, totalitarian, homogenous culture that obliterates the identity of every group it conquers. Long-term stability at all costs. The individual has no value beyond his utility to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production. No, I'll destroy it because it's inevitable that it be destroyed. It's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity.
Using some really big words.
How do I put this basically enough? It's a philosophical theory, the kind you might encounter if you took time to read some books. The fundamental premise is to envision history as a sequence of dialectical conflicts. Each dialectic begins with a proposition, a thesis, which inherently contains or creates its opposite, an antithesis. Thesis and antithesis. The conflict is inevitable, but the resolution of the conflict yields something new, a synthesis, eliminating the flaws in each, leaving behind common elements and ideas. The bombs wiped the slate clean. Human civilization descended to a level of ignorance that effectively set our cultural progress back to zero. The NCR has all the problems of the ancient Roman Republic. Extreme bureaucracy, corruption, extensive senatorial infighting. Just as with the ancient Republic, it is natural that a military force should conquer and transform the NCR into a military dictatorship. Thesis and antithesis. The Colorado River is my Rubicon. The NCR Council will be eradicated. But the new synthesis will change the Legion as well. From a basically nomadic army to a standing military force that protects its citizens and the power of its dictator.
It would be interesting to release a demo of a game like this in modern time, where he would have gone through all of that backstory, and you would have been able to learn a lot of this backstory without it getting in the way of the actual gameplay mechanics of the main game.
What else did you want to know? It's called an auto dock. You can treat
Let's see.
Good. Don't know what kind of security he has inside the Lucky 38, but if you can find a way of catching him off guard, do so.
That's just way too much talking now. We are in this weird situation where we need to get this guy to follow me.
Lead the way.
Then where's the dog? Get him to follow me. And then want all my guns back. I imagine Siri here is the only real slave we're gonna see.
Here, come back in a day if you need more. Okay.
And weirdly, I don't know if we've actually seen the masked guy, the number 2, which, even if we were siding with Caesar, I wonder if there isn't really a case here where the number 2 in charge is just going to take things over. I do have a gun. The other question certainly is going to be, can we ever get into this area with guns without just doing the holdout thing? This is not as much of a location as I might have thought it would have been. So this is a trench designed, I guess, just to show that Caesar has read some books and knows what trenches are. And with the NCR shelling with cannons, a trench maybe makes some sense. But video game wise, I think there's a lot of 3D polygons here that are going to exist for no good reason. And this whole path is going to end up being a waste of time if That was the guess. Seriously, you're gonna let a player do that? Ammo boxes with surplus bullets seem to be a new thing that have started to pop up as I've leveled up in the game. So, well, at least there's a little bit of a reward in that. Still a fairly dark game. Technically, I think this may still be inside as far as how it's labeled, even though very obviously it's not inside. I think it is not the overworld map. I don't think if I could glitch my way over this rock I could enter other locations on the overworld map. And certainly that is the next question as far as, am I going to be able to do anything here, or is this really a no-go zone where there is no quests or landmass? Now we've been shown that there was some ammo surplus boxes at the end of one road. So now I'm disappointed that there wasn't one at the end of the other road. I wouldn't be surprised if the story with Caesar ends the same way Caesar ended, with him being stabbed in the back by a Et tu Brutus type character. And I don't really see the point of the public executions. I don't really see the point of the brutality. I think people in general overemphasize how important morale or demoralizing people really is.
True to Caesar.
These are all of our weapons.
It's said the Legion's veterans will arrive from Arizona soon.
Move along.
They are a sight to behold. You may proceed. Your belongings will be returned when you leave.
So this says travel to Cottonwood Cove.
Awe, are you ready to return to Cottonwood Cove? Very well.
Yeah, so that's just straight up a load, as far as I can tell. Let's look at the direction. Actually, I may have binoculars. Nope, I sold them. From the looks of it, though, all that is hugely rocky areas. So I would suspect that that is it. That is the entirety of this left side. Maybe some DLC will do something else. So Caesar wants us to kill House. Report back to House for further instructions. The House always wins. The side quest here would be this one and this one. Don't think we can finish this one. And we need to go talk to McCain too. Right. So let's quickly just fast travel to the Nellis section and see if we can get the component we're looking for. While we're at it, let's make sure we have items equipped that make sense. Modding, not doable. I don't think this is the right carbine that I was using. $161, $152, 500 bullets, 700 bullets. Yep. I guess this is the gun I was using. Benny getting eliminated from the picture doesn't seem like too big of a loss. Now weirdly, you would think Pearl would just say no to this request.
Hello, friend. You may find one in the workshop. You're a friend to the tribe, so... Bye.
So now we go to the workshop, which I believe is over here. And this is a good way, I guess, for the quest to push you forward into making sure you've been here before. All of this would be stealing while we're here. Dog hide belt. Cycling. Overcharging. Overcharging. I am assuming overcharging is the better move than crafting anything. So here's a howitzer firing mechanism and some other stuff we can take without stealing. Okay, so that moves that quest forward. So I guess the question we should ask is, if we fast travel to the fort now,
by order of Caesar, your belong.
So yeah, you fast travel, and then it's gonna take all the bullets. And if you fast traveled out of this area, are you going to get your guns back? You would assume it would be programmed that way, but no real guarantees. Now, what it doesn't seem like is that there's any more factions. It would be very weird if there was yet another faction, and it definitely feels like there are some factions here that I thought that may crash. Could have been bigger, such as the Followers of the Apocalypse, but they aren't going to play a big enough role. Okay. Lucas. That the howitzer has been fixed. Lucas hopefully is not inside here, is he? I guess he is.
True to Kaisar. You must enter Kaisar's.
What's up? Okay.
So it.
You must enter Kaisar's tent.
Yep. They really don't want you to be able to kill Kaisar. And I suspect, even if you did try to kill him, he might just magically survive with his auto dock.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
Yes. Do you have... Well done. It will be very useful in the coming battle against the snipers the NCR will no doubt have hidden in the hills near the dam.
Let's see if we can turn up our unarmed and get this done. We just need a magazine that would increase unarmed. Should be something like that. Boxing times.
Yes. Do you have something to report? Of course. This will take some time, and I'm not a forgiving teacher.
So we've now learned another physical item and ability. Okay. We got a couple more 100 XP. It does certainly feel like getting 200 XP is way less than you really should be getting.
What's up? Lead the way.
What I want to see now is we will fast travel to Jacobstown. Okay, we did get everything. Apparently. But we don't have it equipped. So the last thing I wanted to really do here is see if we could do something more with the brain that we got from the dog. There were 2 dog brains. One would have made him faster, the other dog brain, I suspect.
Is there something else I can do for you? Promising.
So yeah, fixing the brain with one brain was means you can't do anything else. Right, well, while we're here, we will buy Nuka-Colas and Xander Root. Super stim packs and stim packs. I imagine the rest of this doesn't matter. Rad-X, Rad-Away is not important. Magazine for 24. Not really that important. And I imagine I don't have anything great to sell. I can sell grenades. And you might as well just keep the combat helmet to repair this. Well, you know what? I'll just sell it now. Dog meat. That's not even worth selling.
Another satisfied. Bye.
Very quickly, I'm going to start filling up shopkeepers' purses with coin or caps and running out of a way of balancing things out so that I would actually have the right financials. While I'm thinking about it, I also want to check in on this place and see if we have ever fixed the radiation problem with the water. We looked in the sewers. Here we can see characters
I don't have time to talk right now.
glitching all over the place.
Is there something I can do for you?
Let's talk to this guy.
Howdy. Something else I can help you with? Sure do. Can do. Adios.
The maze is doing well in this soil.
So at some point, by killing all the radiation ghouls, I did fix the sharecropping water issue, and the game just didn't really make that a quest, and as such it didn't say I had finished a quest. In more modern Fallout, like Fallout 4, I would imagine
Hey there, need anything?
that
Sure.
you may get more of a change where how am I, what am I trying to say here? Feels like in Fallout 4 you probably would revitalize the areas, and certainly you would revitalize settlements. But yeah, I don't think that's happening here. I don't think by fixing the sharecropping farms, water's problems, that maize and corn will just grow better. These bulk bullets are not worth anything, are they? So the last thing I can check is, should I equip an item, equip a gun. So we'll just go in here and investigate what the computer says. I know we're going long today, but that's because of two things. One, I am going to be needing to move stuff over. See, yep. Radiation has been detected by the filtration system. Leaks are detected within this facility. Please investigate external causes to correct the issue. That implies to me that there's something still to do. I have figured out that you can scan things and make them glow, although using this gun to scan things and make them glow doesn't make sense. I should look on the ground, see if there's a sewer entrance, or if there's even maybe a note. Yeah, there's just nothing glowing here. So whatever the quest may have been for this, either I fixed it, which I think I did, or I'm never gonna figure it out. There are 0 rads coming from this water, as far as radiation goes. So that would tell me I fixed it. And it may just be that the computer warning is permanent. And where are we on inventory? Let's see. We're at 147, so it's not even really worth my time to go through all of this and try and dump some of these items into the inventory of a follower. Let's just go to Camp Karen and go in here.
You have to hand it to the NCR. Get enough hands working together and they can make or break just about anything.
So we'll make a new save. So it is my thought that either I'm going to run around Camp McCarran, or I'm going to go to the strip and talk to the ambassador about doing more for the NCR. That definitely feels like that's the move. We know that there's DLC quests, and maybe it is time just to start the war and restore hope. It definitely feels like there's very little left that can be done. It definitely feels like freeing the slaves, Left My Heart, is accomplished by taking over that location. And I don't want to do that until I know for certain I can't finish some of the other quests. It definitely doesn't feel like that there's anything else really to do. And I know there's been some locations, particularly down in the south here, where almost nothing happened. Searchlight Airport, for example. And so there may just be some choices made to go back to those locations storyline wise. There's a follower's safe house here. I guess I could go investigate. And this northern passage I think is DLC. But otherwise I think we've seen pretty much every location on the map, which is going to really suck when I take the perk, because either it's going to be a case that I take the perk to show every location on the map and find out that there are several locations I've missed, or I'm going to take the perk and it's going to reveal like one location, one safe house of unimportant. Yep. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. Next time we'll try and side with the NCR and sidle up to the NCR as much as possible until we have to actually make a decision. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.